So I went to the Oregon State Fair yesterday and I had a pretty good time. Admittedly, I kind of arrived late because of the heat wave. In addition, I mainly went around like the arts, the agriculture, and the animals more so than the actual rides. So I ended up only going to the rides about the time night was coming, which was about 8 o'clock. And that left me with a limited amount of time to actually do any of the carnival rides because, well, the lines are freakishly large at the Oregon State, especially when it's like late. So I ended up only going on 8 rides, which was kind of like a bummer because I was kind of expecting maybe like twice, I would say. However, I had enough to obviously provide like ranking of my what were like my least favorite to favorite.
Oh, are you getting on? I'm just.
Oh,
Yeah, you're good. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, do you want to ride by yourself? That sounds pretty wild. Which adult do you want to go with? Me? Okay. I'm gonna myself. You can't spin it very fast. We can hold it on there. It's not going to be a big deal.
I will admit that my least favorite would probably be the puppy walk. Now, obviously, as you saw in the video, it's clearly a ride aimed more for kids, like little kids. However, I thought, it's worth a try because it was worth like 12 tickets, and I would say 12 tickets is definitely a sign of, hey, you're kind of mature enough, so of course you can do it. But, to me at least, it's obviously the classic old, you go inside, there's like a little wheel you spin around to make the ride go faster. And overall, it's not too bad. It's just kind of boring. And plus, I think my biggest problem is it goes on for a really long time. Like, I was surprised how long it went. And to me, at least, if you want to go on a ride similar to that one, it's just stick to something like the tornado. That one is obviously a more unique one. It's a little bit less kiddie, and it's just kind of just a tame ride for people who just want to spin themselves around. So I put the question mark with the Rumble because I just kind of forgot the name of this ride. Um, it's kind of one where I don't think it was bad. I just found it kind of unmemorable. So it's basically a ride where you kind of go into a large like tube, like going down, and then the ground lifts up. You go up with it. It spins super duper fast, and then the floor drops, but because of the speed, you're still in it. And then eventually, obviously, the ride ends, and you're just brought down to the ground pretty safely, to be honest. That sounds a lot like a lot of like what carnival people would call probably like Starship. Yeah, it's basically the Starship, but much cheaper looking. I do like the design. I like the creativity gone into this ride, and I don't think it's too bad. It's just it's nowhere near as good as the Starship. And in all honesty, it kind of just looked meh. It was much shorter, so I think that's kind of what killed it. Now, I'll give credit. It had the shortest lines, so that's kind of like a benefit. And so if you are basically somebody who's like at like an Oregon State Fair or any fair with like super duper long lines, and this ride shows up and the Starship's taken over, I'd say this one's like a decent enough replacement for it.
You're the way you are because of it.
But yeah, I almost beat the shit out of him. Especially after you were saying what he was saying, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like, I'm not good fun.
No, yeah, that's
Dude, I almost said myself. I would have told him to shut the fuck up. Because I was like, if he came back and started talking to him, I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. And he only did it like the second time. The second time, I was kind of offended. I was like, so she's going to play this and that's the fact that
So I put the question mark with the Rumble because I just kind of forgot the name of this ride. Um, it's kind of one where I don't think it was bad. I just found it kind of unmemorable. So it's basically a ride where you kind of go into a large like tube, like going down, and then the ground lifts up. You go up with it. It spins super duper fast, and then the floor drops, but because of the speed, you're still in it. And then eventually, obviously, the ride ends, and you're just brought down to the ground pretty safely, to be honest. That sounds a lot like a lot of like what carnival people would call probably like Starship. Yeah, it's basically the Starship, but much cheaper looking. I do like the design. I like the creativity gone into this ride, and I don't think it's too bad. It's just it's nowhere near as good as the Starship. And in all honesty, it kind of just looked meh. It was much shorter, so I think that's kind of what killed it. Now, I'll give credit. It had the shortest lines, so that's kind of like a benefit. And so if you are basically somebody who's like at like an Oregon State Fair or any fair with like super duper long lines, and this ride shows up and the Starship's taken over, I'd say this one's like a decent enough replacement for it. This one was actually a lot of fun. It's basically one where you go in a little place, spin around at a certain really fast speed, and yeah, circle. So I personally like the tilt the wheel pretty much. One thing I weirdly like with the carnival rides is actually when they're kind of unsafe and you just have like literally a barely a bar to just keep you protected. Sounds like a really weird thing. Like, why would you like that? It's like, oh, because it's kind of fun to just rely on pure survival instinct. And overall, I mean, the gravitational force is enough that I would say anyone with that brain cell would stay relatively safe with it. And the reason why I'm kind of ranking this low is just because even though it's a lot of fun, in my opinion, it's just kind of like a deep, okay-ish um ride for me when you compare it to others, especially at the state fair. However, I feel like it would be a lot higher if, you're just going to a regular county fair. So, oh, I don't think anyone who's in love with carnivals needs any explanation about why the Starship is one of the best rides you can go whenever you go to like a county or state fair. So obviously, it's one where you just spin around so fast that you are pressed against the wall. And if you are lucky, if that the kind of platform you're on lifts you up a little in between. And I think what I love about this is that usually the carnies who, like the carnival people running it, they tend to be very enthusiastic about it. You can kind of tell that they're also in love with it. And it often goes for a pretty long time. Obviously, like that lift up, that makes it beyond satisfying, and it's a huge reason why I recommend if you ever go on the Starship. If you find time, try to lift up your legs as soon as like gravity allows you to. So, yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Now, I'm about to go into probably the ones that are most unique to the state fair. At least I have not seen them anywhere else. So, all I can say is really, really early time to celebrate Christmas. Like, what's up with people trying to celebrate Christmas in September? How bad does global warming have to be? That you're like, yes, let's celebrate now. Jokes aside, the sleigh ride. Honestly, I'm kind of forgetting its name right now, but it's not too big of a deal. It was a pretty fun one. Admittedly, I had to join a group of people in order to go on it, and well, my biggest criticism is please, for the love of everything, it's important to let people know if like the large where like larger person and the smaller person have to go on certain rides. This was a huge one because I ended up being the larger one of the group, and unfortunately that resulted in my people on with me getting squished. So yay. Lovely. And obviously as you can tell from my little rant here, this one is one where it's kind of you go on like one of the ride sleds and you spin around. Um, so you get pushed like the Sizzler, and this one actually came with a little unique feature where in between it would rain in like bubbles to simulate snow, and I thought it was pretty cool. Made the ride much more fun. So yeah. I'm gonna start off before describing this ride that I believe it was the artistic band. I remember kind of like the word artistic being used to describe the name. That can't exactly describe it, but hey, that's besides the point. Um, I have not been on a roller coaster for I believe 10 years. I don't know why. I guess as a kid I got kind of scared by them because sometimes they would go upside down. Sounds like dumb, but hey, I was a dumb kid back then. This one was obviously like a big highlight of the Oregon State Fair specifically. And what can I say? It does not disappoint. I love that it's just you have one rail, you just gotta hold on for dear life. I love rides, weirdly, are like that. I don't know why, I just do. And what I also like is obviously it's a traditional roller coaster, one you just don't often get. And that it's a very fast ride, honestly. You know, you kind of get in and out, in and out. So yeah, it's like last year, actually it was like 2 years ago. I went to the Oregon State Fair. I couldn't go on it because somebody puked and that just disrupted everything. But this year I'm glad I was able to go.
I love how my friends are like, oh, yeah, that's awesome.
I'm gonna need to keep my phone straight. Oh, I'm gonna be nervous. Now, this is the unexpected winner for me, at least for Best Carnival Ride, which is the Big Splash. Now, this one was surprising because it's kind of just like a log ride. You go into a log, recommended that you have one or two people. Larger person goes front, smaller people go back. And you initially just go up like a small railing, and then you just go down, get splashed a little bit, and then you go up, and it's a larger one at the top. You go down again, and well, lots of water comes down. um, the end. Again, this one was one that was pretty fun. In line, you'd frequently get splashed. Sometimes it was by people who, obviously, if they're getting splashed themselves. And sometimes you got little jerks who think, it'd be funny if we just, like, splash the people trying to get on. It's like, you kids. Additionally, this one also didn't necessarily have safety regulations. You literally just hold on to the side and just pray for dear life. And once again, love that. um, Overall, it was a really great ride. Just surprised that they didn't provide any sort of like for your clothes, like protection to not get them all wet. I guess they just didn't have the money for that. Luckily I was also able, obviously I had my phone with me, but luckily I could arrange with the people that I ended up going with to just put them in their bag. And yeah, this one was personally the best highlight. Now, before I cap off this video, I want to give a quick shout out to the Bargain Project, a non-profit organization that is specifically dedicated to um, global poverty. Now, what kind of differentiates them from a lot of other nonprofit charity groups is that they actually help with specifically contacting Congress about legislative issues surrounding global poverty. So on their website, they have an action center where you can learn how to call and email Congress. It's surprisingly easy, and they actually have a few bills that they've already passed through this, helped pass at least the system. Um, so such as the, excuse me, Global Malnutrition Prevention and Treatment Act and the Global Food Security Reauthorization Act. So, in the link below, I have a donation, a fundraising page that you can go to. I also have an action center, so that way, if you want to yourself email, it should be pretty easy, under 10 minutes. And so, yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.